Welcome back to Shadowy Delights, your source for spine-chilling horror stories. Before we dive into today's terrifying tale, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. Now, sit back, relax, and prepare to be captivated by another shadowy delight. I never believed in urban legends, especially those involving summoning rituals. But curiosity got the best of me. It all started with a dare from my friends during our regular Friday night get-togethers. We were watching a horror movie, and someone brought up the midnight caller ritual. Supposedly, if you perform the ritual correctly, you can ask a question and get an answer, but only if you're brave enough to stay until the end. That night, I decided to give it a shot. I waited until midnight, lit a single candle, and stood in front of my bathroom mirror. The instructions said to knock on the mirror 3 times and say, "Midnight caller, reveal your face," then blow out the candle. So, I did exactly that. The moment the candle flickered out, a chill ran down my spine. The room was pitch black, but I swear I saw a faint outline of a face in the mirror. My heart raced, and I almost backed out, but I was determined to see this through. "Who are you?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. The silence was deafening. I waited, expecting nothing to happen, but then I heard a whisper. It was faint, like someone speaking from far away.
"I am the one who watches."
I shuddered. "What do you want?" There was a long pause before the voice replied.
"I want to see you."
The bathroom light suddenly flickered on and off, and in those brief flashes, I saw a ghastly face staring back at me. Hollow eyes, a twisted grin, and skin that looked like it had been burned. I screamed and stumbled backward, crashing into the door. When I finally managed to turn the light on for good, the face was gone, and the mirror showed only my terrified reflection. I ran out of the bathroom and never looked back. Since then, I felt like I'm being watched, especially at night. I keep all mirrors covered and avoid looking at reflections. But it didn't stop there. A few nights later, I woke up in the middle of the night. My room was freezing, and the air felt thick and oppressive. I sat up and saw that my closet door, which I always kept closed, was now slightly ajar. My heart pounded in my chest as I got up to shut it. As I reached for the door, I heard a faint whisper.
"I want to see you."
I froze. The whisper was coming from the mirror inside my closet. Slowly, I opened the door wider, and there it was. The same ghastly face from the bathroom mirror, now staring at me from my closet. Its eyes were even more hollow, and its grin more twisted. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The face started to emerge from the mirror, its burned skin stretching and cracking as it moved. I backed away, tripping over my own feet and falling to the ground. The creature was now halfway out of the mirror, crawling towards me. In a desperate attempt to escape, I scrambled to my feet and ran out of my room. I could hear it following me, its raspy breath getting closer. I rushed down the stairs, but tripped and fell, hitting my head hard on the floor. Dazed and in pain, I looked up and saw the creature looming over me. Its twisted grin widened as it reached out with a skeletal hand.
"I want to see you."
It whispered. The last thing I felt was its icy grip on my throat, squeezing the life out of me as everything went black. My friends and I were always into paranormal stuff, but I never took it seriously. One night, we heard about a ritual called the candlelight summoning. It was supposed to be just another silly game. You light 5 candles in a circle, place a mirror in the center, and chant an incantation to summon a spirit. It was a rainy Saturday night when we decided to try it out. We set up everything in my basement, the perfect creepy setting. The 5 of us sat around the candles, and I held the mirror. We recited the incantation together, our voices barely above a whisper. Spirits of the night, come to us, show your might. At first, nothing happened. We giggled, thinking it was just another bust. But then, the temperature dropped sharply, and the candles flickered violently. The mirror in my hand started to feel heavy, and I saw a dark figure taking shape in its reflection. I wanted to drop it, but I was frozen in place. The figure spoke in a deep, guttural voice.
Who dares to summon me?
My heart pounded in my chest. It was just a joke, I stammered. The figure laughed, a sound that sent chills down my spine.
Jokes have consequences.
Suddenly, the candles blew out, plunging us into darkness. The only light was the faint glow from the mirror, now showing the figure's twisted, monstrous face. It had hollow, black eyes and a mouth that seemed too wide, filled with sharp teeth. I dropped the mirror, and it shattered on the floor. The figure vanished, but the sense of dread remained. We scrambled out of the basement, too scared to speak. Over the next few days, strange things began happening. Objects moved on their own, shadows lurked just out of sight, and we all started having the same nightmare of the monster coming for us. Desperate to undo what we had done, we decided to try and banish the spirit. We gathered in the basement again, this time with a book of banishment rituals. As we chanted the words, the air grew colder, and a strong wind blew through the basement, extinguishing the candles. A low, menacing voice echoed through the room.
You cannot banish me. You are mine.
The basement door slammed shut, trapping us inside. The figure appeared once more, emerging from the shadows. It moved faster than before, grabbing my friend Sarah and dragging her into the darkness. Her screams echoed in the confined space, then abruptly stopped. We tried to run, but the figure was relentless. One by one, it picked off my friends, dragging them into the shadows where their screams were silenced. I was the last one left, hiding behind an old bookshelf. I heard the figure's footsteps approaching, slow and deliberate. It knew exactly where I was. As it rounded the corner, I saw its horrific face up close, skin burned and peeling, eyes like black holes, and a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. With nowhere left to run, I accepted my fate. The last thing I saw was the figure's twisted grin as it lunged at me, and everything went black. The basement is still there, filled with the echoes of our screams. If you listen closely, you might hear us, forever trapped in the darkness with the monster we summoned. I've always been fascinated by old legends and rituals. When I heard about the devil's reflection, I knew I had to try it. The ritual supposedly lets you see the devil's face in a mirror if you follow the steps exactly. You have to do it at 3 a.m., known as the witching hour, and you must be alone. One night, I decided to give it a go. I set my alarm for 2:45 a.m. and got everything ready. I had a small hand mirror, a black candle, and a piece of red chalk. The instructions were clear: draw a circle with the chalk, place the candle in the center, and light it. Then, hold the mirror up and stare into it without blinking. As the clock struck 3 a.m., I lit the candle and followed the steps. The room was silent except for the sound of my own breathing. I stared into the mirror, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. Minutes passed, and my eyes started to water, but I didn't blink. Suddenly, the candle flickered, and the temperature in the room dropped. The reflection in the mirror changed. Instead of my own face, I saw something dark and sinister. A figure with glowing red eyes and a wicked grin stared back at me. It felt like it was looking into my soul. "Who are you?" I managed to whisper. The figure's grin widened.
I am the one you summoned.
I felt a cold hand on my shoulder, even though I was alone in the room. I wanted to look away, but I was paralyzed with fear. The figure in the mirror leaned closer, and I felt its breath on my face.
Your soul is mine.
The candle went out, and I was plunged into darkness. I screamed and threw the mirror across the room, shattering it. The lights flickered on, and I was alone again, but the sense of dread lingered. The nightmares started that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the figure's red eyes and wicked grin. It tormented me, whispering terrible things and promising to take my soul. I stopped sleeping, too afraid of what awaited me in my dreams. One night, exhausted and desperate, I tried to destroy everything I had used in the ritual. I smashed the remaining pieces of the mirror and burned the red chalk. But the haunting continued. The figure's presence grew stronger, more oppressive. I started seeing it during the day, lurking in mirrors and reflective surfaces. I tried to avoid mirrors altogether, but it was impossible. One evening, I was washing dishes when I saw its reflection in the kitchen window. The figure was closer than ever, its red eyes burning with malevolence. I backed away, but it was too late. The figure stepped out of the reflection, its form solidifying in front of me.
You cannot escape me.
It hissed. I ran, but the house seemed to close in on me. Every door led to another room with another mirror, each one showing the figure getting closer. I stumbled into the bathroom, the last place I wanted to be, and there it was, waiting for me in the mirror.
Your soul is mine.
It repeated, reaching through the mirror. Its icy hand gripped my wrist, and I felt a searing pain as it pulled me towards it. The last thing I remember is its wicked grin and the sensation of being dragged into the darkness. Now, I am trapped in the mirror world, surrounded by endless reflections of my own terror. I see the figure every day, and it tells me that soon, it will find another to take my place. If you ever feel a cold hand on your shoulder while looking in the mirror, run. Because once it has you, there's no escape.
Your support means everything to us. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen for more shadowy delights.